Welcome! And today we are learning how to put the top on the long arm to start quilting.
This will go up here. It'll be right next to this part. So it'll have to go all the way through here and back here and dangle back there.
Okay, and where is back there?
Between your
Two
the back
rollers. Okay.
the back roller and the top roller. When I mean top, it's called top.
Okay.
And that just holds this in place and snug, because this part will come on the outside of all this, and it's what holds your top fabric.
Okay. So we're taking the pin out and dropping the front. The pin goes in here. It's on the cord. We're just dropping it. We're coming over here and we're putting it under that top.
Gently
Under this.
Because you don't want to pull this part
top
up here.
part. Just this top bar right here.
Yeah. And you're letting it drop. But what you're doing is making sure it's straight. It's got to hang straight down.
So now we're releasing this right here enough to let
the leader have more space. Pin it back again. And now pull the leader up here, and you can pin to it. Pin the top to it. But what I do is I lay it up here right now.
Okay, so we're moving the batting up and behind on top of a shelf or other, so it's not on the floor above. And we've got our backing and our batting here, and now we're going to pin our top on it so it's not floating.
We found the center. We put a little crease. And see the crease? Let's see if you can see it better on this side for the camera.
Okay,
There's
so
a little crease right here.
perfect, got it.
And that's the crease you want the pin in and out of, because that marks your center.
Okay, and we're going to do that on the bottom as well, correct?
Yes. Do the same thing to the bottom.
And we're going to find the bottom and put the pin in the very center.
Look at your center mark here, and you size it up, hold it what's center, but keep it down from this about a ½ inch. Take your pin out and pin it steady right there so it doesn't move.
Okay, and that's the center top.
That's.
And now we're taking the bottom and we're pinning it in the center of the bottom of the top. This is called top runner? Top?
Yes, because you pin the top to it.
Okay.
The other one that's really what you would consider the top is called the pickup roller, because it picks up the quilt as you quilt and rolls it.
Okay, so the top roller is the pickup roller. The last of the three rollers is the
last one you pin on is called the top.
Top, gotcha. And we're going to pin it right in the center, and then we're going to go all the way across pinning it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're pinning on the top to the last roller, we are having the top come right out to the edge, and we're pinning it on the back side or the underside with the seam, and the flat top stays on the top.
Yes, your pins go on the canvas side, so it doesn't, they're not hidden. You can always see them.
Excellent. When we put the pins in, we want them approximately an inch away from every poke in, poke out, and we want them about a ½ inch down from the top of the the canvas roller part here that we're saying. Leader, canvas leader.
it up enough to get it off the floor.
We're rolling it up so nothing is dragging on the floor. And come over to the center, rub down and out.
And then hold and rub out.
So a question is, how much of a tail do you need to leave on your long arm sewing machine? Now the tail is the top thread without it pulling back through. Well, we look at the top of the machine, and when we look at the top of the machine, we're looking right here. If that is all the way at the top, it's not going to pull more, it's going to push it down and make your stitch. So you know that a short tail, maybe 4 or 5 inches here, is long enough. You don't need.
I know that's the center. I move this pin.
Okay, so to catch back up, we have to make the needle go down in the very center on our line that we've made. This is our tail. Our line is where the pin was. We've just removed the pin. And the machine, this is what we've rolled down to make our needle go down position. Now we're back at our creative studio and we're looking for the word channel lock.
As you put your picture, your pointer across, things light up and it tells you what it is. Like this, it says the word based.
So under based, we're going to click on based. It turns it gray, so we go down to our control block at the bottom and click on channel lock. Now channel lock, single stitch, is either going to make it go straight up and down or straight across. So right now we're going to do our across to lock in the top to make sure it's straight.
We don't want it to come down, we want it to only go straight.
So we're verifying that our channel lock works, and then we're going to go ahead and start doing our stitches across the top. So straight across is our 90 degree, our straight up and down should be our 180. For our stitches, we're always going to use our left button for our gamma. And we are working on the Gamma Statler Stitcher, the Optimum. And we're just going to go across with our stitches. Our stitches do not have to be evenly paced here or placed. They're just loose basting stitches going across the top. Instead of pinning, we're stitching. We're getting the most accurate.
And what we're doing is stitching just under a 1/4 inch down. The whole foot, if the back was right at the fabric and the needle went straight down, that's a 1/4 inch. There's just a little bit of metal foot thing beyond the edge of the fabric, so that makes my stitch across my basting stitch a little closer to the edge.
And yes, my friends, we are with Sylvia today. Sylvia is the expert long arm quilter. She has 2 long arms. She's been working on long arms for over 20 years. She is award winning. She's received many ribbons. So again, we're getting our tutelage from her. I am her daughter, Wendy. And Wendy is learning how to create on the long arm. Say hi, Mom.
Hi! Remember, the journey is what's the most fun.
Okay, and here, if I were to have trimmed off the sides properly, I would not have this extra piece. It would be straight. But having this balanced up here and doing my stitches is going to make sure that I don't have a torqued or curved corner, because the straighter the quilt is, the more apt, if you put it in a quilt show, that you're going to have a award-winning quilt.
Get up again.
And we're pulling up our back stitch. We just take 1 stitch, pull up the thread, and then we're going over to the right. We're always starting in the middle when we do our quilting top.
And what I do is I always start in the center, go one direction, come back to the center, and go the other direction. I'm not sure if there's a specific reason. It's just a habit I got into, and I always find out it works best for me if I do it that way.
Yes, and a scientific way would be to do it exactly as she says, because that way your center is always the exact center. You don't run up with a ½ inch somehow spread in there that you then have to stretch out. And trust me, it makes sense. And see how we're keeping the back of the stitch right on the top edge of the quilt.
Back of the foot.
Back of the foot. That's a foot.
I think they call it a hopper foot.
See, I'm learning new terminology, hopper foot. Over the seam, see how we backstitch? That just helps keep the seams from torquing and pulling. And at the ends, we do the same, couple of stitches, pull up our thread, one stitch, pull it, it brings up the back thread. Always bring up your back thread and snip. Okay, now that we have the top stitched across, we are going to go ahead and grab a hold of our bulk that is right here. And we are going to drop it. And we're going to straighten it out on the top. Drop it. And then we come over to the end of the long arm. And the one that's top is the one that we're going to roll. And we're going to roll it up onto the roller to where it becomes taut. So now we're going to swoop it to make it straight. And that's my technical term, y'all. Technical term. So what we have again is we have the top all snug and stitched. We have our binder clips, 2 on each side. We have the top rolled up to the one that says top. And we have our backing on the one that says backing, and we have our batting.
The backing fabric, the batting, which follows the backing fabric, and then around here, and then our top, as you can't see, it's on the very outside of this post.
Of this post. So our top is on the outside of this post.
Yeah. And the backing and batting goes on the upper side. And then the batting I float, but my backing is pinned to the backing leader.
Okay.
And the batting goes above the skinnier post, rod, pole. And the top, the quilt top goes around both of them, and it's below that. And then it goes to the leader that says top. What this does is it keeps your quilt top separated right in this location from the batting and the backing. Because if you have a problem somehow with your quilt, like there's a little fullness or something you need to smooth out, or let's say your batting gets wrinkled, you can pull a peg. You can pull this peg, and what this peg does is it lets this release down. So in effect, if you have a wrinkle somewhere, you can actually lift this up and over and get everything straight. And then once it's straight, you put it back down, grab your peg, put your hand on the rod, pull it forward, put your peg in till you get it far enough, and you push the peg all the way through. And now you've got your back of the quilt, your batting, and your top all ready to go.
Sweet.
Now that's only if you have a problem. Because sometimes if it rolls on you, this might be too snug and you'll have to unroll it a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay. So we can unroll the top as well to give that. Okay.
Correct.
Good,
Correct.
good, good.
This is still unlocked for basting going across the top. We want to X out of that. And now it goes back to normal. You can hit base and do switch your chain lock, but what I do is I just guesstimate and I go down the side as far as I can.
Go ahead. I do not.
I do not quilt base all the way around the quilt. I only base the top and then the sides of what I'm working. Roll the quilt again, and once I smooth it out and I'm happy with it, then I base down the sides again.
Okay, we base down the sides as far as the roller lets us, and then every time we roll it, we'll base the sides before we do anything else.
Correct.
Excellent.
Now we're going to base down the sides. And just like before, we have the hopper foot just off the edge of the fabric. Because when you put your binding on this, you do not want your basting stitch to show, but yet you do not want to take out your basting stitch.
So again, my friends, this basting stitch never comes out as long as you keep it close to the edge at the side of the black foot, which is called
Hopper foot.
hopper foot. And we've gone down as far as we can. Now we're pulling up the back thread and clipping them all.
Now we're ready to push to the other side, and we'll repeat ourselves.
Notice the hand movement. We're smoothing it out as we go. We're making sure that it is level.
And trying to keep close to the edge.
Trying to keep close to the edge. And we've gone down as far as the machine lets us. We're pulling up the back thread, trimming them both.
What you want to do when you're quilting is to keep this bar, the pickup bar, about a finger's width, the flat of your finger from the nail to the back, away from the metal. And as you see, my fingertip goes in good and it stops with my knuckle. Well, my knuckle's a little larger than normal. What you need to do, this is a little high, so what we do to raise and lower.
Hold on.
This is what we use to raise and lower. This will lower it as you go to the right. If you need to raise it, it's to the left. But I only want to lower it a little bit. I put my finger's width under, make sure it's proper. I would bring the head of the machine back down to this side, approximately in here. And then I'll do the measure again. If it's not exact as the other side, machine is not quite balanced, but it should be the same on both sides.
And this is the bar that we're talking about, is raised and lowering by this crank right here. This crank works this bar.
And the thicker your quilt is, the more you quilt it, the more you're going to have to raise this just a little bit so it has room to be rolled and the machine to flow smoothly